everyone. Today is our 52nd episode, I think, of Embrace You First, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Or you know what? Don't need to say that.
No?
No, just say this is our last episode.
Okay.
Although that's a surprise because people don't know that it's our last episode, but it's not really our last episode because we're changing names.
Right.
We're transforming.
Are we having a conversation?
We are having a conversation. This is what it's all about. So let's tell everybody what's happening.
So we did this podcast for you during pandemic times, but honestly, it was just as much for us because it kept us focused and connected and motivated. And it reminded us to prioritize our health just as much as we needed you to do the same, to stay sane, because to be honest, it was nuts. And many people felt frozen during pandemic times, but we ran with it and we decided to keep our spirits high to help the thousands of patients that we see and who are listening to us, to keep you motivated, but to keep us motivated too. And what we realized though, along the way, is that our passion for helping you also stems from a place of, well, basically where we came from.
Right. Our personal experience.
Yeah.
And so, not just our expertise, but our lived experiences through fertility and then pregnancy and then actually, new motherhood,
yeah,
and beyond. Because, now I'm actually postmenopausal. So
we want to guide
you. And there you go. So we want to guide you through all of that in your seasons of life. So the transitioning is that instead of Embrace You First, which we all should do anyway, we're calling it, now we're doing the big reveal.
Mm-hmm.
The reveal is that we are creating a new podcast and it's called My Fertology.
So the good news is we aren't stopping, but we are transitioning. So I hope that you come and listen because you are going to learn so much. We have so much to offer and we realize our passion sits there. We really want to help you get pregnant, stay pregnant, have a peaceful pregnancy and not just get dropped, like after you get pregnant. Did you find that once you got pregnant after going through the fertility clinic, you kind of felt a little bit lost because you'd been through so many fertility treatments?
Yes.
Right.
Well, you know what is actually really interesting? I found at my clinic, they really want to hyper focus and micromanage you. And I was at the fertility clinic for 15 weeks. I don't know if you did that while I was pregnant. So every week, every single week. And then so after that, it became like nothing.
Right.
I was then transitioned to an OB and I have to say, I wanted a midwife, but because I was at the fertility clinic, I went from, being focused on that and completely off the rails and not even thinking about midwifery. Right. And it was too late.
Yeah.
So I went to an OB and then bam, 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 there you go. But when I went to the OB, I felt like there was a lot less holding hands because it wasn't like I was going to the clinic anymore every week. Right. So it was a really strange transition during pregnancy. And also, I don't know for you, because we'll speak more to our personal stories when we do the My Fertology podcast. Mm-hmm. But because my journey was so long, I found that it was difficult to actually fully embrace the pregnancy. Right. For a long time. It was surreal. It wasn't like I was negative, but it was like, I'll believe it when the baby comes, it comes out of my belly, right? That's how it came.
It took a lot of time because I had subchorionic hematomas. So I bled a lot and I consistently would go in for an ultrasound. Probably you said you went weekly. Well, I had to do it reactively because I would bleed and then I would go in to make sure there was still a heartbeat. So it's a little bit stressful. And the good news is there was. So that was good. But but I felt like after that was all clear, no more bleeding, I was kind of like, okay, what next? And now I'm pregnant and I really have to embrace this and realize that I'm pregnant and I'm going to have a baby then. And there's so much worries and concerns when you're pregnant, regardless if you've gone through fertility. But when you have that history, there's some healing you have to do.
Totally. It's traumatic. Yeah. Right. And I think people don't give it enough highlighting. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you just kind of go on. As women do. It's like you just go on with your journey. And in fact, once you're through it too, that's why you don't see too many people speaking out about it. Mm-hmm. Because when they're done the journey, it's like, I'm just going to keep that in the past in a little trunk a treasure trunk, and then, we're going to move on with our baby. So even when you're actually having issues, it may look like everybody's a fertile myrtle. And yet what you don't know is that like 1 in 6 actually had troubles conceiving to term. Like insane.
Right. Even families, big families. I've had patients with 5 kids and they had to go through treatments to get those 5 kids. So yeah.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. And you would never expect. And so you can imagine the questions too, like, you have so many kids and, it must have been super easy, fertile myrtle, and like jokes all aside, it was a really big struggle. So yeah.
Yeah. So you never know.
You just never know.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about all things, tips and tricks and ways to help you conceive, stay pregnant, and then enjoy the journey after, because it doesn't just end at fertility.
No, for sure. And well, actually, it's just the beginning, as we know, being moms. So, we'll kind of, hold you where you're at in your journey. And so we want to cover all aspects. And like I said, the whole seasons of life as a woman, right?
So we both tried to get pregnant before having our little ones. Thankfully, we were successful. Now we are fertologists sharing the highs, lows, and our trained expertise to help you thrive during your life's journey from fertility to pregnancy and mamahood through menopause.
Yoo-hoo, sister.
Check out my Fertology.
We'll see you there. And in the meantime, you can go back to our 52, I think, Embrace You First episodes, because there's lots of really juicy stuff there still, right?
Yeah. What was your favorite podcast?
I have to say, I think they're all my favorites, because every time
you're so cute.
No, I'm being honest.
I know.
Okay, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I go back and I listen to the episodes.
I know. I love that you did that. I would too sometimes, but just like, well, it was like, walking, running.
Yeah. But I'm like, oh my gosh, these are so good every time. Right.
Mm-hmm. Like, just, actually something that we really learned was that when we were re-listening, or you weren't re-watching, right? We didn't see each other. So that's a big thing too. We're not doing YouTube anymore because we didn't have time as busy mamas to just watch ourselves. So we figured, why not just put it right to audio, right?
Streamline, and, because we're busy. And then that will be actually good motivators for you in terms of how you streamline your life. So we're going to streamline our life, and then it'll give you motivation to streamline your life. And we'll give you lots of tips on that too.
Totally. Absolutely. So
what
I think
is yours
my favorite probably, originally I was saying to you before we started this podcast episode today, that I really love the mindful eating one, because it's so important to eat mindfully. And it's not just about, what you're eating, when you're eating, it's how you eat and how you enjoy the experience of eating, and just giving you an apple and going through the 5 senses, because it cracked me up.
Yeah.
So it's like, smell the apple, taste it.
Yeah.
Listen to it.
Yes, of course. All of it.
Crunching.
Yeah. And I love incorporating actually the 5 senses, because it gets lost, right? Because people just eat. And in fact, I don't think people even create pleasure anymore, because most of the time you're eating on the run, or you're sitting in front of the computer and eating and like doing your meeting or something, right? And so there's no being present with your food at all.
Well, and I think that goes for every experience in life. We're kind of losing that connection with our 5 senses, which is why a lot of people suffer with anxiety, because you can only sit with, as we talked about in our anxiety episodes, in one part of our brain at the same time, right? In one part of the brain at a time. We can't be in both places of our brains at the same time, because we can't be like running away from a bear while crunching an apple, right?
Yes.
Or smelling a rose. So if you kind of engage the processing center, and we really focus, even when we're connecting, on how you smell and how you sound and how you look, we're really like engaged, and we're not thinking about all the other things that, the computer tabs open in our brain, then we can really enjoy the experience a lot better.
Absolutely. And then, of course, another one that came to mind actually was the one on intimacy, where we did like reveals about our personal intimacy habits for ourselves, never mind with a partner.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Combo. A TMI episode that I was like, oh my gosh, did we really post it?
Yeah.
But I think it was very important information because it's too much of a stigma. And honestly, the 5 senses applies to that too, right? Intimacy, connection with self, connection with our partners.
Yeah. And so now I'm going to drop you a truth bomb again.
Oh,
well, because in that episode, I said, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this vibrator. I haven't.
Truth bomb. Come on, Mary.
I haven't bought it yet. Sorry,
I'm
guys.
sending you a link. Amazon.ca.
And we have no
rabbit.
affiliation.
No,
a rabbit. Oh, right. It's called a rabbit. Okay. I have to check
There's
into
different
that.
ones. There's different. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, well, on to the next. You know what's really important, honestly? You can totally lose your intimacy when you go through fertility. Years of medical procedures and assessments and tests, right? So honestly, it's so important to keep your relationships healthy, to not just make a baby, but engage in intimacy and enjoy each other as you go through it, so you don't lose yourselves through it.
Yes. And that's not, well, for, when you're trying to make a baby and during pregnancy and postpartum, because we also know that, within the first 3 years when you have a child, relationships can go awry and there's lots of breakups, right?
Yes.
So
I loved Kimberly Johnson's episode.
Oh, yes.
Right. And how she talked about, just even, having your partner rub your back and massage your back in the bath while you're having a sitz bath. And like, there's different types of intimacy. So it doesn't mean necessarily, while you're healing, you should be jumping into bed and having penetration when you just had a baby.
No,
but like reminding yourselves that you can still stay connected when you've just had a baby in different ways.
That's right. Connection doesn't mean necessarily penis and vagina sex.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Let's just be real.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's just about being connected and intimate and loving. And it could be little touches. And so we're going to go more into that. And just as like a quick little preview too, I was talking to the sexologist and he's keen on sharing with us one of the exercises, sensate focus, I believe it's called. So we're going to check out that. It'll be so cool. There's going to be so many people that we're going to be interviewing and all related to our lives as women.
Right. And that's one of the parts I loved best about initiating this podcast with you, because we learned so much and we were inspired by so many people. You inspired me too, which was awesome. And it was just so much fun. And I'm so glad to be starting a new journey with you.
Mutual for sure. And so that doesn't mean that we stop focusing on embracing you first, because really that's still the crux of it all.
Yes.
It's just my fertology. Oh, we need to tell people what fertology means.
So fertology is...
We made it up, by the way.
It is the study, assessment, and treatment and wellness of women as they transition through fertility years and preconception years, through conception, pregnancy, post-pregnancy, perimenopause, and menopause.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's it. Again, basically all your seasons of your life.
Correct. Yes. And yes, one thing I'm not clear on, clear on is, are we...
We're going to just ignore that phone
call. Are we not targeting, but are we helping women specifically who have struggled with fertility only? Or is this... Are we kind of, because we call it fertology. So I want to clear that.
The fertile years. I think we'll just kind of go with the flow, especially with the different kinds of experts we'll have. And so I think for some, they will definitely, I think for the most part, because we ourselves have fertility issues. But you know what? I would love to be able to include women that are maybe one day wanting to conceive and they just want to be proactive, because why not? And some people I know, I don't know if you've seen this, but some women are anticipating fertility challenges.
Right. And collecting their eggs earlier, doing their, ovary reserve tests and all that kind of thing, a little bit preemptively sometimes.
And I would say beyond just egg freezing, because really it's just about how do we keep ourselves healthy and both overall as well as reproductively, because at the end of the day, the real thing is that this is international, global, right? Like we are delaying having kids.
Right. Yeah. So I wasn't saying that everyone should freeze their eggs by any means. I just mean that I'm seeing it a lot more because as a proactive thing, because women are, a little bit concerned. Maybe they haven't met somebody and they're coming to their, 30s. And
Yes.
so they're concerned, but I don't think it's necessary. I think it's, I mean,
but that we'll
just
do a
different
whole
things to
episode.
look about. Yes,
for
exactly.
sure. Multiple episodes.
Yes. Right.
And we'll talk to
Yes.
other experts that do this. And then we may also start including women that have gone through it as well. And let's hear their stories, because that'll be so super interesting.
Amazing.
Anyway, I know we can just chat this,
Blubber
life
on.
away.
Yes.
And so, but basically we're just telling you that we're super excited to start something new. So we're going to end this chapter of Embrace You First. So go back and look at all the invaluable episodes. And then we're going to add to it and transition to Women First.
That's right.
Yay.
Yay.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Mwah.
See you soon.